Hello, friends. We're back. Again,
Hey.
like usual. No questions, comments, concerns this week. So instead, just support us like we hope that you usually do. And we're just going to jump right in. So, I'm first.
Yeah, what do you got?
So, I have kind of a collection of things. I wanted to do like one topic on here, but it ended up being a bunch of them because one of them just wasn't enough for me. So my sources are popularmechanics.com, Wikipedia, loveexploring.com, howstuffworks.com, and sciencenewsforstudents.com. So basically what I have this week is a weird weather phenomenon.
Ooh, okay.
I have prepared for you a slideshow.
Yes, I watched you do it.
I know. Just in case you didn't know what I was doing. Just because, like, some of these things are hard to describe. So, our first category is weird lightning. So, the first thing on here is ball lightning. Have you ever seen this?
I've seen photos. I haven't seen it in person.
I'm going to show you another photo.
Okay.
I didn't do this for nothing. So.
Should I just take this and, like...
You know what? Yeah. You take this. I'll tell you when to...
Her iPad's in front of me, guys.
I'll tell you when to slide.
Okay.
Don't go cheating now. So ball lightning was mostly described as a sort of glowing, floating orb that is said to occur during thunderstorms, usually following a lightning strike. For a while, they didn't know anything about this, and it's still, even today, kind of considered to be somewhat of like a myth thing. They don't even know if like the pictures that they have of it are like what they consider ball lightning. They come in a variety of sizes and colors, but they only last for about a few seconds. The edges of the lightning ball are, from what are described, are like speckled with small tendrils of electricity, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And people claim that they're like floating, which is even more interesting to me. As they said, it's like so rare that there isn't much known about it, and for a long time it was considered to be a myth. One of the leading theories about how it's formed was proposed by John Abramson at the University of Canterbury in Christchurch, New Zealand. He thinks that it might have something to do with silicone particles burning in the air undergoing like a chemical reaction.
Okay.
So, according to howstuffworks.com, they said, when lightning strikes the ground, silicone that occurs naturally in the soil combines with oxygen and carbon and turns into pure silicone vapor. As the vapor cools, the silicone condenses into a fine dust. The particles in this fine dust are attracted to each other by the electrical charge created by the lightning strike, therefore binding together in a ball. The glow and heat come from the chemical energy created as the silicone recombines with oxygen in the air, and once the silicone is burned out, the ball of lightning disappears. So it's like such a fast like reaction, which would explain like why it disappears so quickly too. There's been reports though of it passing through windows and solid walls, which they can't explain.
So it's not so like even by this picture, I was kind of imagining it like just a cluster of lightning off on the horizon, but it's not like that. It's a cluster of lightning right in front of your face.
Yeah, like there was, I didn't write it down in here, but there was like an incident where they reported that it actually burned down a church. Like somebody saw it go into like the church and like it caused a fire and like
that's
burned the church
weird.
down. Which is so fucking weird, but that's like one of the like first real documented cases of it. So then next on our list, if you'll swipe for me, is volcanic lightning. Which this is lightning that's caused by electricity that's formed by a volcanic eruption. It's caused by particles of volcanic ash colliding, and sometimes they collide with like ice particles in the atmosphere too, which will cause lightning, because that's normally how like lightning is occurring anyway. This just so happens that the energy is so powerful over a volcanic eruption that like that's not uncommon for that to happen. This is sometimes known as a dirty thunderstorm, which is interesting. And one of the earliest known recorded accounts of this was during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, which was cool.
So like by this picture, it's very blue in color. Is that how it always is? Like it's very...
I think that picture mostly is I think there's definitely like a filter on it that probably makes it look as bright as it is.
Okay.
Because some of the other ones just look like regular lightning.
Okay.
I think it's just maybe the way that the atmosphere looks too, because like when eruptions like that happen, they like completely coat everything.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
it also could be because of that, where it's not like coming out of like a regular cloud in the sky.
Right. It's coming
like,
out of like the volcanic ash.
Yeah. Next is Catatumbo lightning.
Wow.
Yeah. This is like the coolest fucking thing. So this is what I originally wanted to just talk about because I had watched an episode of that show I was telling you about. I think it's called Unexplained with William Shatner. And they mentioned this place. So it's basically from Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela. It's known as the lightning capital of the not the United States, of the world.
Okay.
On 140 to 160 nights a year, they experience 10 hours of nonstop lightning.
Holy crap.
That looks like that.
Wow. That's like almost every other day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Nonstop.
I would love to like go experience
cool.
that.
The video of
That's
it is
very
fucking
cool. That's really cool. Do they know what causes such insane lightning in that region?
There's theories.
Okay.
So it's been going on for centuries. The first recorded incidence of it was in 1597 in the poem The Dragon Tea by Lope de Vega. He talks about Sir Francis Drake's failed attempt to actually conquer Maracaibo, but he was spotted when numerous lightning strikes illuminated his position. This could have been like a regular thunderstorm at that point, but they can't figure out how long this has been going on for.
Okay.
And it does come in waves, so I think they said that October, it's like most powerful.
Okay.
But like it kind of like wanes down a little bit in January and February.
Okay.
So the main theory behind this is that there's a low-lying current that comes off the Caribbean that's like regular to that area, and like it just kind of makes the air more
super electrically
susceptible.
charged.
Yeah. What's interesting is that there's no thunder that comes with that.
Huh, so it's just lightning.
It's just lightning. There's no like thunder or thunderstorm that's usually like with it. It's
That's
just
crazy.
this.
You guys have definitely seen pictures of this Catatumbo lightning. It's the one with like all the lightning out over the water.
But you probably didn't know that that's what it was at the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, the video of it is so freaking cool because it's just like it just keeps going. There's no break in between it. It just keeps going.
That's crazy.
I can't imagine like living somewhere
I would
like
love
that.
to like visit there and experience that. That is so cool.
Too bad Venezuela is like
It's
the
scary.
deadliest
Yeah.
fucking country ever. Yeah.
Can you fly over it? Like, do planes fly that way?
I think so. I know it's like considered it's almost considered like a natural lighthouse for ships because like they can like when they're out on like that lake, they can see where this is occurring because it occurs at like the mouth of the Catatumbo River and flows into that lake. So like if you can see that from miles and miles away. So like you know what direction you're going in because you're just following where the lightning is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how it looks overhead. I'm sure that they can see it because there's a couple places that are like almost electrically charged throughout the world. But this one was actually named like the lightning capital of the world. It used to be somewhere else. I can't remember where, but now it's this.
That's crazy.
Then we're going to go into like tornadoes and like storms.
Okay.
So go ahead, swipe for me.
Okay.
So what you have in front of you.
We talked about these in one of our recent episodes.
Yes, but there's actually something really cool in here that I didn't make the connection with. So waterspouts are tornadoes that form over water, obviously. Contrary to popular belief, they don't actually suck up water, though. They're made completely of air. They are not made of water.
Wow,
I thought that
did
they
not know
were
that.
water.
Yeah.
No.
It's a very misleading name.
It is. It's literally just a tornado over water. They mostly occur in subtropical and tropical waters, but they've actually been seen over lakes such as the Great Lakes. At one point, Lake Michigan had 9 of them going consecutively.
Wow.
At one fucking time.
That's crazy.
Which is probably why they have so many shipwrecks and things.
Probably.
Sometimes they're so powerful that they can actually lift aquatic life straight from the water.
Could you imagine you're just like watching a tornado and all of a sudden
fish,
there's a whale
just, like,
in it? Like...
Yeah. They're not that powerful, but they can lift like small fish and stuff.
That's crazy.
And then those animals
those poor fish, that must be so confusing.
It gets worse for them. So then they get stuck in the clouds and then they get carried over land, and that's how you get raining fish and like frogs and things.
Oh.
Because they like I've never made that connection.
That's
I was always like,
interesting.
how is the sky producing cloud or producing fucking fish? It's because of things like this. Like, they just get stuck up there because they're so light, and, like, the clouds are so heavy with them that they could just bring it over land, and then they're fucked.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that I thought was, like, super interesting.
To be fair, they're probably dead by the time they hit land.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time they are. Because, like, they've
been without water for several minutes.
Frogs
minimum.
can survive without water, but, I mean, being dropped from a height like that, they're gonna die. Also, who knows how long they're actually up there for.
True.
They're probably so fucking confused.
They're just like, man, I don't know what is going on right now.
I have never seen this. Another fun fact about waterspouts was that it was one of the main theories involved in the explanation of the ghost ship, the Mary Celeste.
Oh.
I don't know if you know anything about the Mary Celeste.
A little bit, yeah.
It was basically a ship that was found, like, abandoned.
Okay.
And nobody could figure out, like, where the people went. They couldn't find them.
Right.
But they think that maybe a waterspout came along. They got scared, jumped overboard, or were sucked up, like, into this and then never found again.
Have to be pretty scared to jump overboard a ship.
If you're going to decide that that's your better option.
Yeah. Gotta be pretty damn scared.
I'll stick it out. Because worst case scenario, I end up in the water anyway.
Right.
Best case scenario is I don't. And it was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Next we have fire tornadoes, which are fucking scary.
Swipe?
Yes.
Oh my god, no thanks.
Fucking terrifying. So these form when a blaze hits the air over the surface of the earth. So then they can be up to 400 feet high and go 50 feet wide with temperatures of 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit in, like, the column.
Holy crap.
They can...
How-
Go ahead.
How long do they usually last for?
I was just
Like,
gonna
something
say.
like that can't have a very long lifespan. Oh no.
They can last anywhere from a few minutes to an hour.
Oh man.
And contain
That's terrifying.
wind speeds anywhere from 100 to 300 miles per hour.
Holy crap.
They typically occur during, like, wildfires, but they're so rare that only 2 recorded, like, instances of true, like, fire tornadoes have ever been recorded.
Okay, so this isn't like a regular tornado that accidentally hits a fire and all of a sudden you
No,
get a fire
I don't know what
tornado.
happens in that case. I don't ever want to find out. I don't know. But, like, things like that. So, like, this probably isn't, like, this is probably more of what they call, like, a fire whirl, which is common.
Yeah,
like that.
that's just like the fire spins. I've seen that. I can't remember why.
A lot of people have seen that.
But, like, that's not uncommon.
So, yeah, and that's, like, common, like, a most common sight amongst, like, firefighters. Like, they see a lot of that shit. Especially, like, in places where there's, like, high winds and also fires. Like, I think when we have, like, wildfires around here, there's probably a bunch of those. But they're, like, dangerous, too. Just as dangerous as, like, a fire tornado because if they move onto, like, land that isn't being, like, affected by fire, they can just spread it.
Yeah. It's a fire tornado. You don't have to tell us why it's bad.
I know. So the only 2 that have ever really been recorded that are, like, true fire tornadoes were 2003 in Canberra, Australia, and then there was another one in 2018 in, you know those wildfires that hit California?
Yeah.
So there was, like, the Camp Fire. This one was the Car Fire in Redding, California. That one, this is so fucking scary. So that one clocked in as an EF3, which is, like, pretty high on the tornado scale. And was the strongest tornado California has ever experienced.
Holy crap.
Can you imagine your strongest tornado is a
fire tornado?
Fire fucking tornado.
What differentiates, like, what draws the line between fire whirl and fire tornado?
So these are actually created, like, in the atmosphere. Fire whirls are just kind of, like...
Okay.
They're
just accidental.
Yeah, like this, there is, like, an atmospheric component to it where, like... So you basically have all of the pressure building up in the atmosphere and it gets stuck at a certain level. So... It's building and building and building, and you have all the smoke going up there, all the heat going up there, and finally it just fucking bursts, creating, like, this hole in the atmosphere, which, like, sucks everything up.
Okay.
So that's how you get something like that.
Okay.
Because there's just so much pressure that's been building up, and then it just finally can't take it anymore. So then the last one on this list, which there is no picture for because it's self-explanatory, is thunder snow. Have you ever experienced this?
I don't think so.
It's cool. It's really fucking cool. So it's basically when thunderstorms hit, but instead of rain, you're getting snow.
Okay.
Lightning and thunder do occur, but thunder tends to be muffled due to snow. They're super rare, but they're more common over the Great Lakes in the Midwest.
Okay.
I experienced this once in my life.
Did you?
And I did not know what was happening. When I lived in my old house, I was outside playing in the snow. I was a fucking adult. Like, wasn't even a kid. I was an adult. Because we had this tree out there that, like, flowered in, like, a dome shape. So, like, I used to, like, go under there and make an igloo. So I'm under there, and all of a sudden I hear, like, rumbling. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because we're in the middle of, like, a pretty big snowstorm.
Yeah.
This was, like, the year that we got all of those, like, consecutive ones.
Okay. So, like, I must have experienced it as well. I don't remember.
I don't know if it went on for very long.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if I just heard it more because I was outside.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm outside, and I'm like, what is that rumbling? And then I saw lightning, and I didn't know if I, like, had seen, like, maybe, like, a transformer blew somewhere.
Yeah.
But the power stayed on. So, like, I had no idea what was happening. I was like, this is so fucking weird. And I used to watch, like, the Weather Channel fucking religiously. Like, so they had actually done, like, a report on it because one of the meteorologists had also experienced it. So he was talking about it because, like, he's giving a report and it's going on in the background. So he's like, this is crazy. Like, this is called thunder snow. And I was like, this is what I heard. It's super cool. It is. It's like a thunderstorm during a snowstorm.
That's weird.
It's so weird, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I got to experience it because I'm fucking obsessed with weather. So, then we're going to go into, like, weird light anomalies.
Okay.
So first up, if you swipe, we have the moonbow.
Ooh.
So moonbows are basically rainbows that occur at night and are produced by the light of the moon rather than the light of the sun. They're the same as a normal rainbow, except they're a little bit fainter. That one's pretty, like, bright.
That's pretty, yeah.
But I'm sure somebody turned up a filter on that
probably.
because they're pretty faint. There's very specific conditions that have to be met in order to view one. So the moon has to be low in the sky and either be, like, at its fullest or nearing so.
Okay.
The sky has to be super clear and very, very dark. And it can only be viewed 2 to 3 hours before sunrise or 2 to 3 hours after sunset.
Okay.
So it's, like, very, very specific.
Okay.
They're typically observed after rainfall or near waterfalls.
Okay.
So, like, Niagara Falls sees this pretty often because, like...
Clear skies
and everything else. Yeah. But they're cool looking. A lot of the other ones that I saw. There's, like, another thing that I didn't put on here called a fog bow. And it's basically, like, a white rainbow.
Okay.
I think somewhat of the same conditions. It just, like, doesn't have as much color. Maybe because the moon's not as bright when they form or how that goes. Or maybe it's more or less, like, when it's foggy but the moon's out.
Okay.
I didn't read the specific things, but I saw it. It's just called a white rainbow. It's really weird looking. I mean, it's, like, literally like a fog rainbow. Next, we have fire rainbows.
Ooh.
Which have nothing to do with fire, yeah. We've all seen these, I feel
okay.
like.
Yeah,
You know what this is.
Yeah.
So the official name is actually called the circumhorizontal arc.
Okay.
People don't like when you call them fire rainbows because they have literally nothing to do with an actual rainbow or a fire.
I was going to say, I never assumed that this was a rainbow.
I thought this was called a sundog, but that's a completely different thing.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. I came into work the other day and I was like, there's a sundog outside. And they're like, cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is cool. Because there's a little rainbow thing in the sky. I see these all the time.
Yeah.
So basically, they occur when the sun refracts through ice crystals and cirrus clouds, forming what looks like a rainbow splotch in the sky. So I feel like everybody's probably seen one of these.
Yeah.
They're really common in the summertime, but like you can see them all year round.
Yeah.
As long as you have those like wispy clouds out and it's like a pretty clear day, like
nearing sunset, you're gonna see.
Yeah. Or like, I mean, I've seen them midday when it's like really bright.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, that's cool. I love that. But that's basically what it is. It's like super common phenomena.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what the name of it was, so pretty excited about that.
I'm going to call them fire bows because that's a much cooler name than whatever it was that you called them.
Circumhorizontal
yeah,
arc.
I ain't got words for that.
You can impress people, though. Look at that circumhorizontal arc up there, and they're going to be like, you nerd.
I don't need to say that to get called a nerd, thank you.
I know. I could not say anything, and people are like, you fucking nerd, and I'm like, okay. Okay, so next is a really cool one called the Brock Inspector.
Ooh, that's a cool one.
This is a phenomenon which is almost ghost-like in appearance, and occurs when you have to have your back to the sun. You are on like a peak or a mountaintop or like a ridge of some sort, and you're facing downward or like facing towards mist or like fog or something. So your shadow is magnified and like kind of distorted which gives it the illusion of like a ghost almost. And then on the head of the shadow, it's topped with an almost halo-like rainbow, which is caused by water droplets within clouds reflecting and scattering sunlight.
Yo, I would love to find a place where I could do that.
It's fucking cool.
You can be the rainbow and the specter.
I am a rainbow angel. That's what I am. And a ghost, too.
That's really cool.
It could be all the things you want to be.
It's so spooky.
It is. Apparently, it's even spookier, like, when you're, like, in a plane or something, because this can happen while you're, like, flying, or it can really happen to any object.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be just people.
Okay.
So, like, you're seeing, like, this weird
halo around,
like,
plane.
A shadow that you're looking at, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? Because it's not like it's on the ground. It's, like, right there.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but it's cool.
Weird. Very cool.
Next is one of my favorites, which I know you've heard of, but didn't know probably was real. Go ahead. Called the Green Flash.
Okay.
So this is most commonly witnessed in the third Pirates of the
I was
Caribbean
gonna
movie.
say in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. This is a real thing, which I did not know.
I didn't know that either.
It's basically, it occurs during sunsets and sunrises. A bright green spot is visible over the top of the sun, lasting only a few seconds. This is caused by the scattering of sunlight on the Earth's atmosphere. It can be seen anywhere in the world.
Okay.
So there's not specific areas that you need to go to. It's as long as you have a clear view of your horizon and it's like, you know, a clear day, you can probably see this.
And there's no like stipulation as to like what the weather conditions need to be like other than clear.
It just needs to be clear.
It's just kind of random, like.
Yeah, I mean, from what I had looked up, it just said that like as long as the horizon's flat and uninterrupted, like the best place to probably see it is like
a beach
or something. Yeah, because like you're just looking out onto like the ocean or onto water, and like you don't have to like kind of worry about anything blocking your view, because it only like you have to be able to see where exactly the sun goes down, like where it actually dips below the horizon.
Okay.
So like you can see that when you're watching like the sunset or the sunrise over the ocean, like you can see that exact moment when it dips below the horizon. I don't know if we would have been able to see this when we were up in Maine on that on Cadillac Mountain. I don't, just because like there was so much other stuff on that horizon. But I think like on our beaches we probably could.
That's interesting. And it's like an actual thing that happens versus like our perception. Because like sometimes you look at the sun and because it's so bright, it's kind of distorted and discolored anyway.
So I think originally the light is technically blue, but the blue is drowned out by everything
like,
else.
Orange. Okay.
Yeah, so it looks green. Like that's the only thing that we're perceiving, but like I mean, I guess it is more of like an optical illusion, but it does happen. It just like it's so quick that like you're not going to see like this bright green flash like in Pirates of the Caribbean. Like you're going to just see like it kind of it's like almost like a disc that's over the sun.
Okay.
I watched a couple videos of it cuz like I didn't know exactly what it looked like. Just because I thought this was not real. I was like, this is fucking fake. There's no fucking way. But it does. It happens so quickly that, like, you don't even know it's actually happening. Like, it's in that split second where, like, the sun literally just dipped below the horizon, and there it is.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So then, lastly, we're just going to go into some weird fucking clouds. So if you'll swipe. These are lenticular clouds.
Okay.
They're often mistaken for UFOs.
Yes.
Because that's what they fucking look like. They contain a lot of turbulence, so pilots usually avoid flying through them, and they typically form over mountains. I tried to understand how exactly this is possible that these things form, but I could not fucking wrap my brain around the science.
Is a little beyond me.
It doesn't, like, I can understand most of it. This in particular, for some reason, I was just like, I don't get it. I don't get how this is possible. It was like something about the airflow over a mountain, and I'm like, but if it's flowing down a mountain, like, how is it fucking making this? I just don't understand. So, yeah, it looks like a UFO. The other ones are real creepy.
Fun fact, my UFO tattoo is loosely based on those. Because there's my tattoo is based off of a Third Eye Blind song that's about mistaking lenticular clouds for UFOs.
Interesting. I didn't know that. And then lastly, we have morning glory clouds.
Oh.
Which they say they're rare, but I feel like we've seen them. So they're clouds that have a roll-like appearance. There's not a lot of information on them because they're so rare and unpredictable as to when they occur. But there's strong winds in the front of them that move vertically upward that basically like create that roll that keeps going. They often bring sudden squalls, high pressure drops, and the occasional rain and thunderstorms. And while these clouds can stay mostly formed over the sea, they basically disintegrate once over land.
Okay.
I feel like I've seen these, though, before. Like, when we get weird cold fronts in, like, you know how, like, a lot of people take pictures of, like, that front coming in on the beach? That's what that looks like. So I don't
know.
Like, I don't understand.
This is, like, from the sky, so you're getting a pretty good aerial view of them. So I'm sure it looks very different from
the pictures that I've seen from,
ground.
like, looking from the ground.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like we've seen that. But they say that they're super rare, so I'm like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's something else, and that's just how that looks. But it does. It looks like it's just rolling. It's like a line.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's what I got for weird weather phenomenon for you.
Cool. I'm into it. That was very weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange things on there. I hope you enjoyed the slideshow that I provided you.
I did. Thank you. I love the visuals.
I just feel like sometimes it's easier to show you, and I'll find a way to post like most of those with the episode. But
cool.
Yeah. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed.
I did.
Alrighty, let's take a short break to possibly refill, and then we'll get back into it. All right, you're up. What do you got?
All right, we have the most prolific female serial killer, good old Lady Bathory.
Yes!
All right, so born in either 1560 or 1561, no one is entirely sure.
That's okay.
Elizabeth Bathory was the product of two incredibly wealthy people. Oh, my sources.
Oh, yeah.
Wikipedia, History.com, and Biography.com. So product of two very wealthy people. She was related to the King of Poland and the Grand Duke of Lithuania through her mother's side, and her father was a Baron of Transylvania. So, like, she was pretty wealthy. As a child, Elizabeth suffered seizures multiple times. She is believed to potentially have had epilepsy, potentially as a result of her parents' inbreeding.
Shocker.
Yeah. At the time, seizures were sometimes diagnosed as falling sickness.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's kind of accurate.
I guess so, yeah.
Which was sometimes treated with the blood of a non-epileptic person being just, like, rubbed on the sufferer's lips.
Seems legit. Can you imagine the first person to fucking do that? They were like, you know what? I think makes sense. The blood of somebody who doesn't have this disease.
Just,
give it
like,
to me. I'm
just wear it as chapstick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna gloss it on there. Got a nice rouge going.
Yeah.
I'm good.
There wasn't really a ton of information about how this came to be. Giving the sufferer a mixture of a non-epileptic's blood and skull at the end of an episode.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if they had to drink it out of the skull. I don't know if they ground up the skull. I'm not sure.
I don't think I've read that they were drinking it out of the skull.
It's possible.
Like a fucking coconut.
Yeah,
Yep.
So it's possible that, like, this treatment could have been what inspired Lady Bathory down the road, in, like, her endeavors later in life.
Yeah, endeavors.
At age 10, Elizabeth was engaged to Ferenc Nadasti. I don't know if I'm
Nasty boy.
There's no way I'm saying that right.
Frank Nasty boy.
He was the son of a baron, but Bathory's family was, like, more prominent. So, Elizabeth was kind of like, I'm not taking your name. First of all, I don't know how to say it. Second of all, I'm richer than you. So
it's like, look at mine compared to yours. We can pronounce this. What the fuck is that?
So, Ferenc changed his last name to Bathory when they were married. She was 15, he was 19.
That's innovative.
Yes, yeah, that's very forward thinking.
Especially since she's, like, younger. Like,
yeah.
She's like, listen, bitch.
She put her foot down. She was like, look, I got falling sickness. I'm going to do what I want.
My family's richer than yours, so guess whose name you're going to take.
Prior to their marriage, there were rumors that Bathory might have given birth to her first child at age 13.
Jesus.
And it was, like, supposed to belong to, like, this peasant boy, and was given to a woman in the village and raised in Wallachia.
Ah, good old Wallachia.
Yeah.
I know that place.
There's no evidence to support this claim, though. So,
Fair.
It's all hearsay. So, for their wedding, Ferenc gifted her a castle along with 17 villages.
For their wedding.
Yeah, for their wedding. 1519, here's a village and a castle. Here's 17 villages and a castle.
I cannot get a boy to buy me a slice of fucking pizza.
Well, maybe you should have tried when you were 15.
Couldn't do it then either. And this dude's like, how do you feel about a castle?
And 17 villages.
Wonder what the going price for that was.
Probably a lot. And he was the less wealthy of the two.
What the fuck?
So, after getting married, they moved into the castle, which was Castle Sheta. They had 5 confirmed children and 2 other possible children that were not substantiated.
Rumored children.
Just rumored children. Ferenc was away at war for most of their marriage, so Bathory was just kind of like left to her own devices to care for the castle and all 17 villages, which, hindsight, maybe not the best idea.
But also, you were gifted a fucking castle in 17 village. You fucking better get your shit together.
Yeah. So, this is about the time that Lady Bathory's unique tastes came out.
Taste the fucking blood.
She's like, maybe had a thing for torture. Maybe.
Maybe. Also alleged.
Allegedly.
Unsubstantiated, rumored.
So, girls who went to the castle looking for work, they just kind of, like, went missing.
As one does when you go to a castle.
Wealthy girls who came to the castle for education were never heard from again.
Okay.
There are even, like, rumors that, like, she would just kind of kidnap girls from, like, neighboring villages.
That's fucking crazy.
One of her 17. I mean, technically, she owns all of them anyway.
So she was like, bitch, you live here under my roof. You come with me.
Yeah. So Ferenc died in 1604, and that's when, like, the rumors surrounding her, unique tastes really kind of ramped up. What would she do to these women that she kidnapped and...
I think a shorter list was what didn't she do?
It was rumored that she would cover victims in honey and set them outside for insects.
Oh, God.
To just snack on. She would burn victims with hot irons. She would beat them with clubs. She would stick needles under their fingernails.
Stop it. Nope.
I know. It's awful.
Everything else I could probably not that.
Nope.
Not that.
I literally can't think
I'm like,
of anything I want less.
Oh, God. I'm like, oh,
We'll
cringing.
move on. We'll move on.
No, don't even.
How about sewing their lips together?
Why?
Cover them. This is just bizarre. Cover them in ice water and then send them outside during the cold weather.
Ooh.
Like, why?
Look.
Why?
I'll take that over needles under my fingernails.
Yeah, it's so weird. She really liked to torture them with scissors, though. She would cut off their noses, their genitals, their fingers with scissors. And this one makes me want to die a little bit.
Oh, God.
She would just...
Hold on. I gotta prepare myself because I know I'm gonna cringe real hard, so go ahead.
She would cut between their fingers.
No!
Don't you hate it?
Oh!
Don't you hate it?
Oh, God. I hate it so much.
It's awful. Awful.
What? Oh! Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know.
Oh, God.
Terrible. Terrible. Bathory supposedly liked to bite chunks of flesh, off her victims. There is even one count of her biting off a chunk of flesh and then having the victim cook it and eat it herself. So I just had a bite ripped out of my arm with teeth. Now I'm being sent to the kitchen to cook and eat my own arm flesh. I literally can't come up with anything worse.
What a waste of resources.
Yeah. Due to, like, the weirdly intimate nature of her crimes, a lot of historians think that they were, like, sexual in nature. So, like, somehow she was getting off on this shit.
I mean, how do you not? I guess, like, if that's, like, what I'm saying, I guess that was a weird way to put that. How do you not? How do you not get off on this shit? I guess, like, I can't imagine somebody doing it unless they were getting off on that.
Yeah, like, I can see no other reason to do such odd things than sexual gratification.
Like, because you don't have, like, there's no real purpose in it unless you are benefiting somehow. So, oof.
Yeah, just bad.
Man,
bad.
I really worded that. Sorry.
The, like, real claim to fame and what, like, we remember Bathory for
I thought it was this shit, but I guess I'm wrong.
is, well, it is, but, like, the one thing that, like, we remember her for is there are rumors that she would, like, bathe in the blood of her victims. It had to be virgin blood. And it was in order to maintain a nice youthful appearance. You know, you gotta keep looking young. Just bathe in some blood.
Gross.
Yeah. In 1610, she was arrested for her crimes, along with 4 of her servants. At her trial, she was accused of 80 murders.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm. There is a claim from a witness that says to have seen, like, this book that Bathory kept kind of, like, noting her cruelties, which puts her body counts above 650.
Oh my god.
But that book was, like, it was never found anywhere.
Yeah, I think from what I've heard, like, it's really, like, rumored whether or not she killed that many people.
Yeah.
Because they can't prove that she was actually, like, luring people from the villages or,
Right.
like, kidnapping anybody or, like,
Yeah.
killing any of these people. So it was just like, well, these are the ones that we could definitely confirm, but, like, everything else is kind of
like,
hearsay.
there were some bodies found, but I don't even think they found, like, 80 bodies. They found, like, a burial site.
Yeah.
With a few bodies there. But they never found anywhere near of what she was accused of.
True. I mean, but if you got people that'll hide that shit elsewhere,
Yeah.
you know, who knows?
Her 4 accomplices were all executed. Bathory was sentenced to house arrest, where she remained until her death in 1614. So they basically, like, hold her up in, like, one room of her house. And there was just, like, a slot in the door for, like, food and stuff like that. And she lived out the remainder of her days there.
I don't know how I feel about that. Because I feel like she should have been executed, but at the same time, I feel like that's too easy.
So I'm gonna get into, like, a little bit more of, like, what happened at the trial.
Okay.
Because, I actually don't think that she did this.
Okay.
So, there's, like, this theory that she might have had, like, a taste for torturing her victims and servants, but, that, like, she never killed any of them. There's, like, kind of this whole narrative surrounding her because she sat on, like, a really prominent piece of land.
Well, yeah. I've
So,
heard that too.
some Hungarian scholars say that King Matthias II owed her husband, like, a pretty large debt. So when her husband died, the debt was transferred to Bathory, and that the king kind of, like, started spinning this web of lies to get out of paying her. And, like, because of that, this story of, like, vampiric and cannibalistic Lady Bathory was born.
Okay.
Some people say that, like, witnesses provided their testimonies under duress, and that Bathory's family was not, like, notified that she was being put on trial for 80 fucking murders. Until it was kind of, like, too late. If she had been given the death penalty, then the king would have been able to take her land. But because she wasn't given the death penalty, which is, like, right around the time that her parents, like, her family was able to step in, her land just moved to her family instead of the king.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, she was never officially convicted, so her lands went to her family. And a lot of, like, the evidence against her is completely unsubstantiated. Like I said, they found, like, a couple of bodies, but it wouldn't be...
Unusual?
Yeah, like, if a servant dies or something like that and they didn't have any family, you probably would just kind of bury them on the ground.
Yeah.
There were over 200 reports from witnesses collected, but most of those were hearsay, and very few of them ever panned out to anything.
Huh.
There wasn't a very good, like, investigation done, because, like I said, like, she was a prominent figure who had a lot of land, so they were more interested in just taking that land. Many of the witnesses were tied to, it's pronounced George, but it's spelled Gyorgy. It's like the Czechoslovakian spelling, I guess, or whatever.
George.
George Thurzo, who ran the investigation. However, Thurzo was also the man that Ferenc had put in charge of their, like, estate when he went off to war. So he was running the investigation, but he had the most motive to accuse Bathory of anything.
Okay.
So, like, looking at all of that, I don't know that we'll ever know for sure, and she's definitely made, like, a name for herself through being, like, this really prolific female serial killer. But I don't think she did. I think, like, maybe she had some weird tastes, but when you look at all the facts, I don't think she was a killer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who did I think Astonishing Legends did, like, a 2 or 3 part series on her. Mm-hmm. And I know they went over a lot of that stuff, which is how I know some of it already. But I think they came to the same conclusion that they just weren't sure that, like, all of the things that have been said about her are actually, like, legitimate, because she was sitting on a nice piece of land.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, we know from, like, later years in the Salem witch trials, that's the best way to fucking get that land, is to basically start rumors.
Right. And, like, completely, like, negate anything they have to say.
Cause chaos, and then, like, you're discredited and branded as either, like, a serial killer or a witch or something like that, and now someone can swoop in and take your stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, once again, we aren't ever going to know.
We're never going to know at this point. But I think the biggest piece of incriminating evidence for me is that somebody said they saw this book that counted 750 bodies, and a book was never found. And, like, she didn't have any, like, forewarning that she was going to get arrested, so she didn't have time to hide it or anything like that.
True.
Or, like, burn it or anything. So I think that that's pretty incriminating, that, like, this book stating 650 victims was never found.
Okay. I think I can believe that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we do know about her as, like, the first fucking vampire and shit like that because of her weird blood taste.
I also think it's just interesting that she hails from Transylvania. And, like, I mean, we've talked about Vlad the Impaler, who hailed from Transylvania.
But he didn't.
Well, no, but, like, that's what you associate with him.
But, I mean, if you remembered, though, I did say that, like, he was buddies with the Bathories.
Yeah.
He knew that they ruled Transylvania, and, like, he was friends with, like, her, like, great relatives or something, and was, like, real tight with them, and wanted them to back him when he started trying to take over, when he wanted Wallachia back. Yeah.
But I think it's just interesting that she's tied to him, and he's tied to being, like, the first vampire, quote unquote. So I think it's just interesting how history, like, intertwines there.
Yeah, but he really was that awful.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. We know he did bad shit.
We know he did awful things. Yeah. Like, there's rumors about other shit that he did that was pretty awful that can't be confirmed. But, like, all in all, the things that are confirmed are fucking awful. Yeah. So, that's cool.
Yeah. Yep. So that's pretty much Lady Bathory.
Nice. Nice. Do you have any books?
Oh shit, that was the end of the episode.
Yeah. We're just gonna stand here and stare at each other now in silence.
I don't think so. Do you have any books?
Yes. So
weather books?
Yes, I do actually. Weather books. Where's my sticky note? Okay, so recommendations. There is a book called Freaks of the Storm, From Flying Cows to Stealing Thunder, The World's Strangest True Weather Stories by Randy Cervani. And that basically goes over same things that I went over, except goes more in depth to, like, real weird things.
Okay.
Like, is there any truth behind, like, tornadoes picking up cows? And just, like, strange weather things.
Okay.
Like, mine was more of, like, natural phenomenon that occurs, but I think his is more of, like, actual events that happened and, like, the truth or the falsities behind those.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. That's what I have there.
Cool.
And that's it. So,
we'll see you guys next week, then.
hopefully.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Just come back, please. Thanks.